Welcome back to Fishing with Vance. Well, the first mod for 2023 here on Fishing with Vance is I'm going to go ahead and get this battery in place in the bottom of the Pelican bass raider and get it secured, because you guys know that these lithium batteries are not cheap. So last thing I want to do is have this thing fly out or get ruined on the way to the lake. The setup that I have on this Pelican bass raider is I have the Anderson connectors. If you're new to the channel, you can't see it on the ropes there, but there's the connector in the back. Okay, there it is right there. And I actually have both on the front and back of this boat. And so I do want to stick with the battery in the center of the Pelican. I really like that setup. And also, I also have this connected to my other rants. Now, so it's important that I keep this in the middle. So I think the first step I'm going to do, obviously, is to remove my battery here. And come in a little closer. Again, those of you new to the channel, you wouldn't have seen other videos on this, how I secured this down. If you haven't, go check that out. But I had an issue with this. I usually have a table over top of this, and I had an issue where this thing was jumping all around on the way to the lake, and I actually had it fall over and things like that a few times. So this was how I came up with how I was going to move it to the lake. Now what I have here in the middle is just simple block of wood that I cut a little channel down through, and that's so that my ratchet strap can go through that and help to hold this down as I go to the lake. I run a ratchet strap from here across the middle and down. So part of the problem or issue is to get this wood block, secure on this battery, and actually I have it pretty secure right now, and it's just through the good old-fashioned zip ties. So I don't know that that's the way I'm going to go here, but we'll see. First step is to go ahead and disconnect this battery and get it out of there, and then we'll get this guy put over here, and we'll figure it out from there to see if this solution that I currently have is going to work. All right, so I got the old battery out, and I got it cleaned up a little bit. There's the battery. Put it over there, and let's see how she fits. Should be able to do it while holding the camera since it's so light. This thing's only 16 pounds, so it goes right over. That's amazing to me. Now, with it being so light, it may be a little bit of an issue of keeping it tied down. I'm not sure that this wood block on there is going to be enough to keep it from moving around. So, got a different idea. Hold on. Alright, well, I think what I decided to try here, instead of putting all these zip ties from here to here and all over the place, I think while I have the other battery out of there, and it's easily, the board's easily accessible now, I think I'm going to try to run a carriage bolt from underneath this board up through here and secure it down. And I think I'll really be able to lock this thing down from coming up underneath this board, drill a hole up through here, up through the 2x4, and secure it. This bolt may be a little long. It's the 10-inch was too short, and 12 may be a little long, but we can modify that by cutting that off at the time. But in the meantime, I think what I'm not sure this board will work, but I got lots of leftover 2x4s back in the workshop. So, all right, I'm back from the workshop. I didn't take the camera up there with me, but let me show you what I did. So I took this the old piece of wood that used to sit on top of my other battery, and it wasn't quite long enough for what I wanted to do. And let me show you what I'm going to do here. Let me set this off to the side. So the plan here is what I did. I pretty much made a new board that's just a little bit longer. We'll put it side by side. There's the old one, and then there's a new one. See, it's a little longer. So, because what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to bolt this thing down. I want to get away from the zip ties. This battery's too expensive to be leaving it up to zip ties to keep it in the boat. So I'm going to bolt it down to this thing, and we should be good to go there. Now, that should keep it in place is what I want to say. And here's what I got. I got these carriage bolts at local hardware store. And the idea here is let me step back a second. So when I made this board, all I did was, like I said, I made it a little longer, and I routed out this center just like before. It's about maybe a ½ inch down there. That leaves a nice channel for my ratchet strap to run through. So I just routed out a channel for it, and cleaned it up, sanded it out a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just enough for that ratchet strap to go into. And then I drilled some holes here. Used my drill press so that I could get this thing, get these, perfect 90 degrees. So I drilled those guys out. So those are ½ inch. So the idea here is I'm going to take this carriage bolt, this ½ inch carriage bolt, and I guess the only question I have is, to myself here, is that I'm not sure if it's going to stick up too high. These things only came in lengths of 10-inch and then jumped to 12-inch. And actually, I think the perfect would have been 11 inches. So we'll see if that extra inch sticking up bothers anything with my table over there when I put that back on or not. If it doesn't, I'll leave it there. Or if it's going to get in the way when I'm charging this thing. So let's see what happens. I'm gonna. I think the next step here is I'm going to pull this board out, and well, first I'm going to put this guy back, and then sort of dry fit where it goes on here, and then drop these bolts down, and it should give me a spot to mark where I'm going to drill through, because this is going to come up through the bottom of this plywood. So before I pull the plywood out of there, I'm going to mark where. I'm going to drop this straight down, make a mark, and then I should be able to drill that out, and should be able to install it from there. While I have the board out, I'll take out these old guys here. No need to have them in there. So, all right, it's a ½ inch. Now I'm going to dry fit where this goes. So drop this down like that. I don't want it to be that close to these, to the battery leads, but I want as much of the board on there as possible. So I'm just kind of feeling along the back to see, to get a good spot. All right, I shut my heater off because it makes too much noise. You won't be able to hear me. Got to have that heater on in Will Vance's garage today because it is cold outside, and so. the garage heater definitely comes in handy. Alright, anyway, I dropped these carriage bolts straight down here so I can get a good place to mark where I'm going to drill my holes. So let me get the... Alright, so they're both marked. And again, I got as much of the battery pressed down as possible. Tell you what, next step, I'm going to pull this thing out of here and take this thing out. So we got our mark. We know where we want to drill. You know, shout out to Dakota. I will tell you, I filled out a survey. Full disclosure, this is not paid advertisement in any way. I'm not compensated by really anybody, and got to give Dakota some credit here so far. We'll see how the battery performs. But I ordered this thing, got it, and the charger that came was broken. So they asked me to fill out a survey, and I filled out the survey. Said, hey, you know, so far so good. The only complaint I would have, you know, a minor complaint, because the charger still worked, but it was cracked, was that the charger came cracked. And lo and behold, I didn't ask for another one or a new one, and they sent me another one in the mail. It just showed up. So shout out to Dakota Lithium. Good job by you. That's what they should do, but people always don't do what they're supposed to do. All right, so let me take that out. And take this board out. This board fits perfectly. Oh boy, look at that. I might want to sweep that out before I put it back. Wow. Alright, we'll do that too. A little extra cleanup. In the meantime, I'm going to take this stuff out. Once I do that and sweep it out, I'll be back. This little Makita sweeper kick spot too, by the way. I drilled it off camera, but I just used a Makita drill, 1/2-inch bit. Took the marks, drilled it out. Alright, so let's see how she fits. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to take this guy and feed him up through. This. Once I start cranking down on this, it'll suck up into the board. Alright. There we go. Like I said, it fits perfectly in between where my Anderson connectors come out. And I'm not worried about it flopping around, because I'm going to pull that, when I pull this through, it should be fine. I'm going to come this way as much as I can. Dakota Lithium back. What's here? Alright. And I may need to come this way, but that's okay. Once we get her in place, we can adjust. Alright, once the rock, just because those carriage bolts are going into the bottom, but that's okay. I know they're going to suck up into the wood once I start cranking down. So, you know, with the old, see, I don't know, less are sticking up than I thought was going to. That's not that bad. So, it's not like I can't get this out of here if I need to. I think this is going to work. I really do. Got myself a 3/4 inch open-ended wrench. Let's crank this guy down. There we go. I can hear it. I can hear the bolt pulling up through the bottom of the wood, which is what I wanted. There Yeah, see, it's already not rocking. Already. As my pops would say, my dad would say, God rest his soul, he would say, no, you don't want to be Popeyeing this, meaning over tightening it. And he loved to say that. So, Dad, I'm not gonna Popeye it. Oh, maybe I am. I said that. I think Dad just talked back to me like, stop turning it. I don't ask that. It's hand tight. And that sucker ain't going nowhere. I tell you what, if this thing flips out of the boat, as my old fishing partner would say, that means I was doing Billy Bronco, freaking Dukes of Hazzard on the way to the lake. Old reference there for you youngsters who don't know what Dukes of Hazzard is. I feel better about it not having taken the zip ties out of play. So, it added a little tiny bit of weight. Okay, the next test is going to be how, if there's this many bolts sticking up, is it going to be hitting my table? I don't think we're going to have an issue at all. Yep, we got clearance right here. No problem. No problem at all. So there you have it, guys. Coated lithium, 54 amp hour battery installed. See you next time in Vance's Garage for modifications for 2023 on fishingwithvance.com. See you in the water.